Who can claim to be the doyen of the Zimbabwean freedom struggle? Is Zimbabwe ready for a presidency without President Robert Mugabe? What is the root cause of the current ZANU-PF political infighting? And who would most likely succeed President Mugabe? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpotsedu. In April this year, Zimbabwean President Mr. Robert Gabriel Mugabe turned 90, arguably one of the architects of Zimbabwean independence from British colonial rule in 1980. Age is no longer on His Excellency Mugabe's side. Having won his 7th term as Zimbabwean president last year, the reality of president quitting political office has become public debate. While the current ruling ZANU-PF elective conference will elect new leadership, Vice President Joyce Mujuru and Justice Minister Emerson Mnangagwa have emerged as frontrunners in a bid to succeed President Mugabe. However, Mrs. Mujuru having been excluded from the party's central committee, chances of her making it to the helm seem to be dwindling by the day. My guest today in studio, Courage Mangwiro, ZANU-PF South Africa Youth League Publicity Secretary. Joining us from our Pretoria studios is William Mpofu, a political expert. And on the line, we're joined by our reporter, Shingai Nyoga. Welcome to the program. Shingai, let me just come straight to you. The conference gets underway on Thursday, but the Politburo has been meeting. What is happening behind those closed doors?
Well, good afternoon to you, Paul. Well, from what we understand from the party is that the Politburo will be meeting to hammer out some of the proposed amendments to the party constitution. They've been discussing this over the last 2 weeks or so. And those amendments include, amongst others, the empowering President Robert Mugabe to appoint the two vice presidents as well as the chairperson. You'll know that in the past those have been elected via the provinces, but what the kind of concerns that have been aired by ZANU-PF leaders is that this has tended to create different centers of power. And so what they want to do is centralize that power under the president and first secretary of the party, who is currently President Robert Mugabe. And the central committee meeting is held tomorrow, and they are expected to endorse the proposed amendments. So essentially the major issue over the next 2 days is what are the areas under this party constitution that will be amended. There's also the issue of having a woman in the presidency. According to the party constitution, we understand it was a requirement that there be a woman in the presidium, but we're not sure whether that will change in light of the recent events.
But with the controversies that have been circulating in the media, reported controversies, that is, regarding Mrs. Mujuru and Minister Mnangagwa, what is the state of affairs? Who is likely to get what out of this coming conference?
At this stage, many people would predict with certainty that Vice President Mujuru is out of the leadership. You yourself spoke to the fact that she was not nominated for the central committee position, and she has to be a member of the central committee to be elevated to the Politburo and to be appointed into one of these key positions. And so really it's unlikely. But many people also point to the fact that President Mugabe can be quite unpredictable in all of this. He still has the authority to appoint at least 10 people of his own accord into the central committee, so she still has a chance. But given the kind of the vitriol that has been against her over the last 2-3 weeks or so and allegations of corruption, it's highly unlikely that she will be. Emerson Mnangagwa has been very quiet over the last 2 to 3 months, but still his alleged faction appears to be alive and well, and he is one of the candidates that people have said could be appointed. But there are a whole host of other people that could be appointed to the this position, and clearly now the prerogative is in the hands of President Mugabe, who at this stage hasn't shown his hand about who his preferred successor is. And so really until the very last day, people will be guessing about who he's going to appoint and who he's going to drop.
Okay, perhaps lastly, Shingai, before I let you go, does President Mugabe appear to be in charge or in control in terms of the processes leading to this conference? Would he emerge with everything that he wants out of it?
President Mugabe has a very different style of leadership. We've seen that over the last couple of years. As all these factional battles have been playing out between people that are allegedly aligned to Vice President Mujuru and to Minister Mnangagwa, he really has not had a lot to say about who his favorite person is. But clearly he's still very much in control, and those divisions that have happened in the party play very much in his favor, because as long as the party is divided, they are still rallying around him to try to curry favor with him. But at this stage, it really appears as if he is very much firmly in control of the party. With these constitutional amendments that are prepared to come up in the next day or so, it will be more so that his power in the party will be entrenched.
Okay, Shingai Nyongwa, thank you very much for that input. Courage, your party goes to conference this week. What are you aiming out of this conference?
Thank you, Mpo, once again for having us as ZANU-PF South Africa, as I represent ZANU-PF and also especially the youth. As we go to this conference that begins today up to the 7th, we have a lot of objectives that we expect to meet. The principal one being maybe a kind of revision on our economic endeavors, what we are looking forward to doing, so that we, get our economy prospects invigorated. Okay. You see, and we should take into consideration that this year's conference is mainly on the economy, as I said, hence the reason why I emphasize on the economy. So we are going to look at the economy. We're going to look also at the filling in of some posts that are very pivotal, very crucial, where we expect leaders to start working from now until 2018, where we're going to have our elections once again. Yes.
Okay. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring in William Mpofu, who's a political expert on issues around Zimbabwe. For now, we're going to take a quick break. Please don't go away.
Leaders of Lesotho's governing coalition have advised King Letsie III to lift the suspension of parliament.
I just want everything to go back to normal and to see the parliament opening again.
We'd like to feel safe in our own country. That's the only thing we want.
9 men have been arrested in Mpumalanga by Specialized Police Unit The Hawks. The suspects are believed to be part of a drug smuggling syndicate in 3 provinces. Police say they are part of 22 drug runners that sell cocaine and other drugs in Gauteng. The men were arrested in Evander near Secunda.
Who was that one person that taught you or led you to the point that you know that words can inspire change?
My grandmother. When I told the family that I wanted to be a writer, everybody rebelled against me.
What do you think your contribution and your band's contribution has been to our landscape as we understand it now?
We had to sing songs that are encouraging, and songs that are saying, let's stand up and do it ourselves.
That's Morning Live, daily at 6 a.m. on SABC News.
A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. Governments here are working hard to ensure that the continent's technology matches that of more advanced countries.
High-speed internet connectivity is regarded as a utility.
As the continent battles diseases like Ebola, social media becomes the preferred method to share information.
People on social media are some of the society's most influential.
To find out more, join me, Spumelele Zondi, on Network every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. I guess today, Courage Mangwiro, ZANU-PF South Africa Youth League Publicity Secretary, and from our Pretoria studios, William Mpofu is the political expert. But for now, let's firstly just have a look at what President Mugabe had to say.
We of ZANU-PF do not know defeat. Here and there a setback, but we have the ability and capability to reorganize ourselves and come back much more invigorated and wage a real, forceful, vigorous, devastating fight.
William Mpofu, let me just come to you. This is President Robert Mugabe. We know no defeat in ZANU-PF. Here and there, some setbacks, but we are able to reorganize ourselves and emerge. Are we likely to see a reorganized and re-energized ZANU-PF here, or is this perhaps the beginning of the end of a unified ZANU-PF?
Good evening, good afternoon, Paul there. What we are witnessing is actually a possible collapse of a political giant, collapsing of its own weight and its own political contradictions that are internal and some of them that are external. And in the main, what we are witnessing, Paul, is a degeneration of nationalism itself as a revolutionary ideology over a long period of time. You've got in Zimbabwe and in ZANU-PF a nationalism that has collapsed from nationalism to nativism, from nativism to the party and the partisan, and from the partisan to the person and the person of the president, who in importance has replaced the country in terms of valorization. So you have got a degeneration rather than a regeneration. There can be a claim from the president and his followers that we are reorganizing, we are re-energizing, we are reformulating, but we are witnessing a degeneration because the ZANU-PF of today is a smaller movement than it was, is a much more personalized movement than it ever was, and it's a much more desperate arrangement than it ever was. So we are witnessing a collapse of something rather than a growth of something new.
Courage?
Yes, I would like to say right away that what is purporting is very far away from the truth. ZANU-PF has always been the people's party.
But you see, Courage,
we have shown that we are people-driven, and in everything that we do, there is no doubt that really our aim is to please the public.
But you are not telling the truth, and I'll tell you why. Because it is not true that everything that you do, there's no doubt. You win elections, there are doubts. You claim there's unity, there are doubts. And currently, your party is going into conference divided.
No, it's let me correct you. said we win elections and there are doubts. Yes, people may doubt because of their own reasons, like the opposition doubted last July when we won the presidential elections with a amazing margin. They had all the right to take maybe the matter to the court because they were purporting that something wrong happened, we rigged the election. They did go to the court. They withdrew because they knew that they were lying. They were beaten
These are the
clearly.
courts. These are the same courts that have had questionable decisions taken.
Yes.
Whenever ZANU-PF was concerned. But let me bring in Mr. Mpofu here. Perhaps your analysis can also help us, because let me just give you an observation that I've made, that ZANU-PF seem to thrive on this rhetoric that we are people-driven, we are concerned about the masses, and all of that. Is this likely to be or rather, is that sustainable? Yes, I don't know. Okay, can you hear me, Mr. Mpofu?
Oh, okay. I think what we can observe there, leading from what Courage has just pronounced, there is this vivid claim about itself that ZANU-PF has always presented, leading to an observation that I will make, which was made by the late Ali Mazrui of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, that at the end of the day, Mugabe will remain a great African but a terrible Zimbabwean. The image of Mugabe and ZANU-PF that Courage is presenting us with is that of gallantry, is that of victory, is that of heroism.
Yes.
But we're talking about a ZANU-PF and a Robert Mugabe that have got mass graves in their name, that have got bleeding, injured, and angry, and poor Zimbabweans on account of their activities. So you've got a difference between logic and the rhetoric there. So there are claims that ZANU-PF and that Mugabe is making which are not supported by reality. Mugabe will remain a great African, but in the main, a very terrible Zimbabwean. If it is true that they are so glorious, so gallant, so revolutionary, why are so many Zimbabweans in mass graves? Why are so many Zimbabweans in exile? Why are so many Zimbabweans bleeding, even within ZANU-PF itself? Why that much language of hatred, that much violent verbal vitriol, and that much anger and hatred?
Okay.
We should be witnessing happiness here.
What do you see? Are you seeing a ZANU-PF which will be able to come out perhaps with an indication that they can live beyond President Mugabe out of this conference?
It's not easily observable that this organization will survive beyond the physical person and the symbolic persona of Robert Mugabe. The way they've exercised and structured their power is that they've surrendered the power to an individual, which individual has become some kind of a missionary, some kind of a prophet who is followed by fanatics and sycophants rather than discerning supporters. I think that is the tragedy of nationalism, as I was saying in the beginning.
All right.
That in the process of fighting colonialism, nationalism itself became colonial. And nationalists themselves became colonialists in the observation of Frantz Fanon, that at a certain level, the revolutionary aspires to be the oppressor.
Sure.
And we are witnessing a situation in Zimbabwe where you can't distinguish Mugabe from a colonialist, you can't distinguish Mugabe from the colonial paradigm of war and power.
Okay, hold that thought there. When we return, we'll talk about other issues that concern ZANU-PF. For now, we're taking a quick break.
Cameroon's economic capital, a unique art collection is on display. titled Yesterday's Memory, Tomorrow's Memory.
We are trying to preserve this heritage despite many things that have changed in the designing, embroidery and the model.
If I'm telling you, you don't like it, I call it defeat.
Join Musam Khalifi on Afro Showbiz every Saturday at 19:30 CAT. Zoom into Africa. This is Malawi. The president is Professor Peter Mutharika. Malawi got independent from the United Kingdom on 6 July in 1964. The population is more than 15 million people. One of Malawi's major languages is English. Monetary unit, Malawi Kwacha.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Our guest today in studio, Courage Manguro, ZANU-PF, South Africa Youth League Publicity Secretary, and from our Pretoria studios, William Mpofu is a political expert now. Courage, who is likely to emerge as leader, or who are the leaders going to emerge out of this coming conference?
The conference itself is going to decide on that, because I cannot ultimately pick on certain individuals for the fact that, you see, in our pool we've got a lot of capable leaders
now,
who can take those positions. Okay. So for one to say leader A and B will occupy Z and X posts will be wrong at this moment.
If it is so true that you've got so many leaders who are capable, why have you not elevated them to lead ZANU-PF and to lead Zimbabwe?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't get your question right.
My question
because
is,
what I can tell you right now, Mpo,
yes,
we have people in high positions in ZANU-PF.
Okay, fine.
And they are serving in their capacities
what
as
what is
leaders.
President Mugabe still doing in office after 34 years in power and after at least 4 decades leading a party? Are you saying that you guys don't have capable leaders who can lead Zimbabwe, who can lead ZANU-PF, except President Mugabe?
No, we are not saying that.
What
we are saying is we still want Comrade Robert Mugabe to be our leader. You see, the people of Zimbabwe have reasons why they are electing him to
ministers
to
in the past.
Power. Yes,
right?
yes.
Why did you change them?
Well, ministers change because they have to change.
Then why doesn't the president change also?
Let me promise you something. If we wanted to change the president,
yes,
we would have changed. But the fact that we are not willing to change the president as yet, we remain resolute. We remain with President Robert Mugabe as our leader. And what I can tell you right now,
ZANU-PF has, or the best thing that Zimbabwe has,
President Mugabe is going to be president beyond 2018. That I can promise you. And it is not because we are desperate, we don't have other options. There is a lot of options. But for now, the electorate, the people of Zimbabwe, the majority is saying Comrade Robert Mugabe should lead us.
No, but are you telling me that your party is so stagnant that for 40 years, 40,
yes,
you cannot... I mean, you have not known any other president in your life.
And there's no problem with that. Honestly, there's no problem with that. There is no reason why we should be changing presidents every 5 years so that we know a lot of faces.
Not necessarily.
We look at leadership. Now, President Robert Mugabe is the kind of leader that we want. He is still capable and he's still willing to lead and he's pleasing us. So why not carry on with him? We'll carry on with him beyond 2018.
How old will he be by then?
Yes, he'll be very mature, but as long as he is able and he is willing, we will definitely want him on board. You see, I know it's surprising a lot of people because they speak of age. No, he's old. Who is not old? Everyone is old. As long as the person is capable, then they are bound to lead. So Zimbabwe, I think, will serve as an example in the whole world that this rhetoric of saying age or people who have had more than at least 2 terms in office as presidents should make way for others is just a statement that does not have any sense, if I can say.
I want to bring in William Mpofu, but a quick one from you.
Yes.
So you're saying that Zimbabwe has nobody who's got any abilities except President Mugabe?
Incorrect. I am saying there is a lot of us.
Why are you not giving them chances?
Their chance has not yet come.
Okay. William Mpofu, excuse me. You heard what Courage had to say.
Yes, what Courage has said now is very beautiful in the poetic sense of the word, but quite amazing coming from a young person who's supposed to symbolize and signify a possible future. But that presents before you, Mpo, the present tragedy of Zimbabwe, where people are afraid to say their true feelings. Actually, the reason why there are these current fights is because Robert Mugabe has not allowed anyone to aspire for power in the open. That has led to politicians aspiring in secrecy, which has led to these scandals that are leading to so much verbal violence, which actually has the risk of collapsing into physical violence or into a coup or into a civil war in Zimbabwe. It's because no one is allowed in ZANU-PF to aspire for office openly, especially the presidential office, which is a tragedy. And even more catastrophic is that young people, intelligent people like my brother Courage, are reproducing such kind of thinking.
Okay, hold the thought there, William. Now, Courage.
Yes.
The First Lady.
Dr. Grace Mugabe.
Okay, yes, Dr. Grace, yes. Excuse me. Is she also in line to lead ZANU-PF?
She is actually in line to lead ZANU-PF, yes.
Okay.
The Women's League has shown interest in her becoming one of the leaders, one of the top leaders. So definitely she is going to be within our leadership hierarchy.
And you do not have a problem with her becoming the next
Not at all.
president?
Who would have a problem being led by such an intelligent and dedicated woman? No problem at all.
Do you have a problem being led by Mrs. Mujuru?
I don't have a problem.
Do you have a problem?
Mrs. Mujuru is ZANU-PF, so if the electorate asks her to take any position in the party, I will accept.
But you don't seem to talk about Mrs. Mujuru with passion, in as much as you do when you talk about Mrs. Mugabe. Dr. Mugabe, sorry.
Thank you. No, maybe I hadn't had that chance of talking about Dr. Mujuru, Dr. J.T. Mujuru. She is one of our liberators and our current vice president, and I don't have a problem with her.
Okay, she's also intelligent.
Indeed, she's a doctor. Yes, she's intelligent.
Not all doctors are intelligent.
That's right, but she is intelligent.
Okay. Courage Mangwiro, let me wish you all the best. And William Mpofu, thank you very much for participating in the show. That was Question Time for today. Get in touch with us, questiontime@sabc.co.za, our Twitter handle @questiontime24. You can also follow me on Twitter @Mpo. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.
Cameroon's economic capital, a unique art collection is on display. Titled Yesterday's Memory, Tomorrow's Memory.
We are trying to preserve this heritage despite many things that have changed in the designing, embroidery and the model.
If I'm telling you, you don't like it, I call it defeat.
Join Musam Khalipi on Afro Showbiz every Saturday at 19:30 CAT.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to Business Review. Straight to an overview of tonight's top news stories. The manhunt continues for a dangerous awaiting trial prisoner who escaped from the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court in Ekurhuleni earlier today. Tuberculosis remains the #1 killer disease in South Africa. Statistics SA released a report on mortality. And ailing Darby Lewis's ongoing legal battle for medical parole continues. Applications will now only be heard next year. Into the business news, and it's a midnight feast for motorists. When the clock strikes 12, petrol will cost 69 cents less per litre. Diesel, of course, coming down by 54 cents per litre.
Motorists are in no hurry to fill up today. After midnight, they'll be paying less at the pumps. Petrol will cost 11.78 cents a litre in Gauteng, a level last seen 2 years ago. Consumers could be in for more relief in January if the current downward trend in oil prices continues. Economists are forecasting a further 75 cents drop.
It's a good thing for the economy. It's something that's definitely needed. As far as I'm concerned, it couldn't have come at a better time. But let's hope it goes down a little more because the economy is killing us.
It's good news for me. Got a little one, newborn baby, so it means more nappies for him.
Means a lot to me as somebody that pays for fuel, and the salary is not going up, but everything in the country is going up.
It would obviously mean, hopefully, cheaper food, cheaper transport costs, less logistics issues. Yeah, in terms of petrol, that's it.
Economists say an added benefit for South Africans will be significantly lower inflation going forward. It's expected inflation could go down as much as to 4% by mid-2015, relieving pressure on the Reserve Bank to hike interest rates. Good news to consumers drowning in debt.
I think it will alleviate some pressure. Having said that, we have become used to pay the e-tolls, we have become used to the high electricity tariffs, and we are hearing that Eskom has opened the negotiations with NERSA to increase electricity tariffs even higher. So it will help a bit in the short term. Although there are some other looming increases in other commodities that will probably, still pressurize households into 2015.
Oil prices have been going down since June, driven by rising supplies and slow demand growth globally. The drop accelerated last week after OPEC's decision not to cut output to raise prices. Gloria Stefako, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Well, as Gloria says, the cuts come on the back of falling international oil prices, and this is the problem with forecasts, because the International Monetary Fund saying today it's surprised by the sharp drops that we've seen in recent weeks and recent days. Just in October, the IMF was forecasting prices of well over $100 a barrel. The IMF says the current slump in oil prices will boost many economies around the world, but it says while a low price environment is good for oil importers like South Africa, the sustainability of prices at current levels remains a big question mark. The low prices are already impacting other African nations that are oil producers, but the IMF expects growth on the continent to remain robust at more than 5% going into next year.
A lot of the growth really being driven by domestic factors. We see private sector investment, we see government investment, we see a strong agriculture, and we see a very buoyant service sector. So all of these are factors that lead us to believe that growth will continue to be high on the continent. And in fact, sub-Saharan Africa right now is the second fastest region in the world in terms of growth after developing and emerging Asia. The risk, of course, is, and we'll need to figure out what exactly the quantitative impact is what will lower oil prices, what will lower commodity prices do for that growth outlook. But we do see a lot of the growth drivers being domestic, homegrown, and that will sustain growth in the continent.
Well, economist Dawie Wirtz says low oil prices will definitely improve South Africa's growth prospects next year, but he says the stimulus may be short-lived, depending on how long the price war between Saudi Arabia and the United States that's playing out currently, how long it lasts.
The price war
is essentially between the Arabians, the Saudi Arabians, and the Americans. They're trying to get the Americans out of the equation. So I think what is going to happen, as soon as we've got more clarity on who's winning the price war, we will see a bit of an increase in the oil price. Not too much.